All founders are entrepreneurs, but all entrepreneurs may need not be founders. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. Who had ever imagined that you could make a sausage or a burger patty with jackfruit? The show will come, it'll quickly go, you'll get your 10 days of fame, and then there'll be the next edition which will come. I think attitude eats skills for breakfast.
Hey entrepreneur. This guy has turned a humble backyard treasure into a global sensation. He has found his jackpot in jackfruit. Meet Sairaj Dhond, the founder of Wakao Foods, a plant-based meat alternative, was India's first startup to get featured on Shark Tank Season 1 and get backed by 3 female sharks. He was awarded the Young Entrepreneurs Award at the Business World Disrupt 2021. He recently exported India's largest plant-based alternative meat to the US, a whopping 13 tons. A lawyer turned entrepreneur, he is now advocating jackfruit as a superfruit. Sairaj, welcome to our podcast, Hey Entrepreneur, How To? And today, we want to know how to build a brand like you have.
Thanks, Floyd. Thanks for having me over. Happy to answer all your questions.
Our podcast, Hey Entrepreneur, How To, is designed to pick into the brains of inspiring minds like Sairaj, individuals that have disrupted the industry and creating waves across not only the country but across the world. Sairaj, welcome to our podcast, Hey Entrepreneur, How To? Sairaj, I would like to start off with how to build a brand in today's day and age.
So Floyd, the first and most important thing for anybody who wants to build a brand is to find your purpose. You need to find that product or service that really makes a difference in the lives of people. You need to be really solving a problem. That's the first and the foremost important thing when a founder or when a person wants to start a startup. Building a brand, I feel, is one of the most challenging things. It's a very difficult thing because there are hundreds and thousands and lakhs of brands, and to catch the attention of your consumers in this highly competitive and crowded market is a very tough thing. So you need to come out of the normal, try and create something which is different and which your customer will really value. It's a very simple proposition. Something that gives us great value is something that will jump to. And again, what is branding? According to me, what is branding? Branding is the perception about your product in the minds of your consumer that you want them to think. So it is what perception you want your consumers to have about your product. And if they have that perception, that means your branding is right. So it's very important to send the right message across with what you do, the way you market, the way you promote your brand. That builds the whole brand image in the mind of a consumer. And then it's a long process. It's a process where you need to keep on hammering again and again. There are certain things that you need to do right. Your product has to be good and you need to bring it out in the most efficient manner. There are a lot of hacks today and there are a lot of strategies and it's a lot of hard work. And you need to crack that code. And there is no right or wrong answer. You need to keep trying. There are different channels that you'll need to keep hitting. You'll have to keep pivoting, and then you need to also be hopeful that things work out for you and you get that right branding.
Superb, Sairaj. That's branding 101 from you. Sairaj, you've definitely cracked the code. You have a product that definitely stands out. In a market that always existed, everyone eats. Yet everyone wants to eat meat, but no one had the option for a good plant-based meat alternative. And you've entered that space when sustainable is a buzzword in today's day and age. And you've created a brand. And when I mean create a brand, everywhere we talk about Wakao, you stand out your name, right? The ring in the name, Wakao, your presentation, your elevator pitch on Shark Tank, to following up with your packaging, to every touch point. They say your brand is made across 21 different touch points. And on all 21 plus touch points that your brand stands. I think what stands out the most is you as a leader, you as the thought leader for jackfruit as a superfruit right now. So tell us how to identify an opportunity like you identified with jackfruit as a market and how to build on it into a business that's profitable.
So for me, see, there are 2 parts to your question. So the first part is how we build this brand and how this whole thing came about is, for me, it was, I always had this thing within me that I wanted to build a brand. And I wanted to build a brand which would be called very proudly Goan, which would be an Indian brand and which would go to the world. Now, what product I would be selling, I didn't know. And I'm being very honest about it. I didn't know what product I was going to sell, but I always wanted to build a brand. And my eureka moment came when I read one article which said the new superfood of the world, jackfruit. And that got me thinking, and to tell you very honestly, Floyd, I didn't think too much about the whole sustainability, vegan or mock meat angle, when this idea came about, it was about jackfruit. It was just the simple fact that here is this fruit that I've grown up eating. I've seen it most of the time wasted. I've seen it rotting, and I've seen no one even caring for it. And suddenly here, somebody is saying that it is the next superfood of the world. So, that was my moment. And I started thinking, I said, we need to really go deeper into it and find out what exactly all of this is. And when I started doing my slight bit research with Google and here and there, and that's when I came across all this veganism, mock meats, and I suddenly realized that this is not jackfruit. It's a jackpot. And we need to make the most out of it. So coming back to the other half of your question, how can any budding entrepreneur or someone who wants to start up a business how do you find a great business idea, right? That's your question. I think that there are two very simple rules for this. The first, a great business idea lies where there is a gap in the market with a product or a service. So if there is a gap and you can see it, that there's no product here in this, or a new product can come here, that is a great business idea. For example, no one did jackfruit. Jackfruit always was there, but no one packaged jackfruit in this avatar. That was a gap in the market. And I thought we could, so we tried to enter, and now we are trying to own that gap, that whole piece of the puzzle. The second is when there is a product or a service in the market which exists and you feel you can do it in a much, much better way. You can add some great value, improve it, and do it. That's another great business idea waiting to happen. I'll give an example again there. Clothes were always sold in shops and here and there, but no one ever sold clothes online. So there was a gap that service could be done in a much better way. And that's when the whole online brigade came and changed the name of the game, right? So you need to just be awake and be alive to all of these opportunities. There are millions of them all around us, but very rarely do you see them. So when you notice an opportunity, you have to grab it and then make the most of it. So I think these are the two touch points. If you really want to start something, you need to be on the lookout. And again, I'll tell you, Floyd, it's not like I decided, okay, from tomorrow I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And then this article came and then overnight everything changed. I have a 10-year journey before Wakao. I did 3 other ventures before Wakao. Wakao is my 4th venture. So, it's a journey. You have to keep doing something or the other till you get your eureka moment, or you get that product which is meant to be. So till then you keep trying, doing different things. Don't stop. You can never stop. You need to keep moving, and then someday you'll get that moment. And I think that came to me. And when it came, you don't let it go then. You hold on to it.
You are a lawyer turned entrepreneur, right? You had 3 different businesses. Now you're entering into a different space. What's your secret to changing the way you work? Because what worked in your previous businesses, for example, you were in hospitality, you were into real estate, and then now switching to a very tough market, right? Food, the HoReCa industry is a very tough market. And the new word, direct to consumer, D2C. While it's a big buzzword, we all know that cost of acquisition can be killing. So to enter a completely new space, you have to learn about this space, right? So how did you make the switch from traditional industries to, I think, industries that are more challenging to you because you've not been in that industry before?
So one thing about me is that I don't work as per a pattern. I always wanted to do something that is absolutely different. One thing. The other thing is that my dream was always to take my brand to the world. I never wanted. So I say this to everybody: don't make Goa your playground. You have to build for the world. So I was a part of the family business for 6 months. That's it. And then I started my own ventures. And it's always change is the only constant. You keep learning. And they always say, entrepreneurs need to be a little foolish also. You sometimes get into territory that you don't even know what it is. So imagine this, Floyd. I said, this is jackfruit. Now I want to take this jackfruit to the world. It can be done in these avatars. I went to Kerala, I went to Bangalore, I went to Tamil Nadu. I found out how it can be done. What are the different things? Google was my only teacher. Then I found some consultants who told me how it's done, how you can play with this. What are the different flavors that can be used? I went to a lot of chefs. I did my research there with chefs from Goa, our friends, Prahlad, Pranav, Tatos. I gave them all of them samples. I tried different things. So, I did a very massy kind of research. It was not classy. I didn't go to any classy research agency who gave me a big white paper and said, I took a chance, which most entrepreneurs do. It's very rare that now when you are, I won't say privileged, yeah, you can call it a privileged entrepreneur, or you're a second generation or third generation who's a part of a family legacy. You have a lot of resources at your hands. I didn't go that route. I had done my previous business had made me some money. So I said, I'm going to bet this. And there was a gut feeling from within which said that this can become really big. And sometimes you need to trust your instincts and just go with the flow. Yeah, so what's the downside? And I'll tell you honestly, and I'll say this. I kept aside around 20 lakhs of rupees from my previous business. I said, if it goes, this 20 lakhs will go. But if it hits, then the rest is history. So I said, let's take that chance. And when I was building this also, I knew, like I said previously, I was building for the world. So right from my branding, you mentioned that, right from my packaging to my name to all of these things, I had sheer professionals doing it for me. None of these things were done by me because I'm not good at it. I know it. So we had the right people doing the right things. And then one thing leads to another. It's like once you're thrown in the sea and you want to survive and you don't want to die, you'll somehow survive. You'll find new ways, you'll find new things to hold on to. And that's how then people keep coming into your life. You'll suddenly get someone who will tell you something else. And then someone, I didn't know what D2C meant. How many of us knew what D2C meant 2 years back? So I learned from scratch. I learned what it was. We did a lot of D2C. We tried different channels of sale. I learned how to use LinkedIn. Actually, I'll tell you honestly, till Wakao started, I wasn't very active on LinkedIn. I didn't understand the power of LinkedIn. Today I have over 15,000 followers. LinkedIn works really well for us. A lot of our business comes from LinkedIn. So a lot of leads started coming from there. A lot of people started coming from there. A lot of different ways of doing business started coming from there. I got a lot of exposure. And then Shark Tank happened, like you said, and that changed the game for us. So, my simple thing is that if you keep trying, you keep at it every single day, your circumstances will change. And there'll be certain things which will come to you. You won't have to run too much to get it. You keep doing what's right, what's good for you. Keep trying your best. Pieces of the puzzle fall in place. And that's how you keep on moving on there.
Sairaj, you spoke about if you're thrown into the sea, you have to swim and survive. But your product, was actually you were riding a wave in terms of the world is moving towards alternatives in food, right? Everyone wants ready to eat. Everyone wants quick options, quick alternatives to their daily cooking hustle, right? So how did you enter a space and how are you riding the wave? And tell us how to create a product that rides the wave. You spoke about market research, right? So how do we identify what wave to ride and how to go all in and dive into it?
So, sometimes there are perceptions that are built. Now, there is this very strong perception that the world is moving to sustainability, veganism, mock meats, all of these. It's very nice to hear. But the reality of the situation in India is we are way behind this wave. India is still yet to wake up to this wave. See, we are very well-read people. We know all of this, but the real India is in Bharat, as they call it. It's the other part. The metros, yes, they would understand all of these things, but that's not a good enough market or a big enough market. One thing you need to understand is it's a blue ocean. There's no one in this. So when that happens, it comes with its advantages, but with its own share of challenges. And challenges in the sense you need to educate people. So who had ever imagined that you could make a sausage or a burger patty with jackfruit? So for us to explain and get them to understand what it is and get them to try it is a very, very expensive process. Time consuming, expensive and exhausting. So we quickly realized that the international market is a low-hanging fruit. Because this wave has been there for the last 15 years. People understand what mock meats are. People understand what alternative meat, plant-based is all about. So I don't have to sell them a concept there. I have to give them a good product at the right price. I need to find the right partners, which is also a difficult thing in itself. But coming back to India, your brand is going to be built in India only. So you need to understand how you balance this out. So how much ever we may talk about the online space, which is a great space, it is the future. But again, it's a very competitive space for us, for a brand like mine to survive in the online space. It's very, very difficult. And considering we are bootstrapped. So, when you're bootstrapped, You have uncountable options and very limited resources. Let me rephrase it. You have limited resources and unlimited options. So the challenge of a founder is to identify those limited options which you can do with your limited money. And which can give you the best outcome.
That's strategy.
So that's what a founder has to do in such a case. So if you have unlimited flushed with funds, then you can try all different things. But here you need to bet on certain things. Doesn't work, pivot very quickly to the next. So in that kind of a scenario, you need to understand which channel is working for you. And if it's not working, move to the next and try and find your sweet spot. For us, we realized very quickly that the online space and that performance marketing and strict D2C through our website is difficult. And it'll take time, and it's a very competitive space. It's not a habit formed space. We need to form that habit for people to buy from us.
Especially food, right?
Online. Food is very subjective. So, and again, taste is very subjective. What I like, you may not like. What you like, someone else may not like. So it's very difficult to gauge, and in that too, we were a very unorthodox kind of food, So that was tough. So we said that, okay, let's not concentrate on our website. Let's sell through marketplaces. So we shifted gears, moved to Amazon, concentrated more on Amazon, on Blinkit, Big Basket, Cred, and we saw much better results there. So here what happened was the entry barrier was very low. I didn't have to spend too much money. And honestly, we are doing everything organic right now. We've not yet even gone into the phase of being hyper growth or marketing or spending marketing budgets over there, which we need to do in the future, but not yet.
Signing a brand.
So we are just doing that thing. The other place where we saw great traction was HoReCa. So hotels, restaurants and cafes. So any chef who's worked with a lot of things knows jackfruit. So for us, it becomes easier to get them to make products from jackfruit. And we are solving a lot of problems which were helping the chefs. Our products are all ambient. No refrigeration required. Our products are all ready to cook. So you just open the packet, put it and cook it.
That's for a year, right?
For 1 year without any preservatives. So now what happens is, so this was a great entry point. Here we could get people to taste jackfruit, and simultaneously we create content online to educate. So there's some kind of a collaborative effort that happens when you're seeing jackfruit as Wakao on your feed. And then you're going into a restaurant and having a jackfruit product, there is a correlation that is happening. And now it has happened to such an extent that there are a lot of people who go there and say, is this Wakao? Is this jackfruit? They say yes. So if you see that, so now we are doing this collaborative effort with restaurants where we are asking them to call the dishes as Wakao dishes instead of jackfruit dishes. And that's how we are trying to build a brand. So we've taken this approach because this approach was a little difficult. It was very expensive. So we took this approach. And this is working quite well for us. Now we supply to over 150 restaurants across India. We work with some of the biggest 5-star hotels in India. Through this, there are a few more unique branding properties that we are trying to build, which will be rolled out in the days to come. So this is so that whole thing of a wave and all of that is very good to hear. But waves don't last forever. They come and they go. A brand lasts, you need to make a brand last with the products and your activities and how you market it and how you brand it. So I think that's an ongoing journey.
So we spoke about a wave, right? Shark Tank was one big wave that came your way. How to leverage a show like Shark Tank for significant growth?
You need to leverage. That's the right word. Because the show will come, it'll quickly go, you'll get your 10 days of fame, and then there'll be the next edition which will come. And so we are already on the 3rd edition. But even today, the other day when I was coming from Bombay, the air hostess on the flight recognized me. There were people who recognized me even before. I came on season 1 and that's almost 2 years now. But the fact that you need to keep on coming back to the people. See, and Shark Tank, as seen on Shark Tank, you must have seen that logo. That remains with me for life. No one can take that away from me. I earned that. It's how you leverage these things is very important. So with your social media campaigns, with how you take it to another level, what kind of marketing campaigns you're running, all of this is very important. And how much you remain in sync with times and don't die down on any of the platforms. See, you have to remember one thing. A brand today is built on social media. The biggest of brands, legacy brands are also on social media today. Times have changed. It's not like before where you have only big billboards which will create a brand or TV advertising. Today, you have to leverage that. That is the power of social media. How you do it, the way you do it is very important. And I think that is where we are focused right now not on bringing revenues through our branding efforts and marketing, social media marketing efforts, but to build the brand. So yes, so Shark Tank keeps happening. People keep recognizing you. They'll recognize you for a bit, but if you're not there again, they're doing something new, they're going to forget you. So you have to be in their memory. You can't. So they say they use that phrase, out of sight is out of mind. You have to be in their sight. They can't lose sight of you. So you'll see me everywhere. So that, why do I do? So I'm invited to a lot of places, Floyd, and I'll tell you honestly, I'm invited to a lot of places to talk, a lot of podcasts. I even now go and do. I'm invited as a guest lecturer in a lot of colleges. I've gone to IIMs, I'm going to IITs, GIM. I do all of this for two simple reasons. One is that I love doing it. I love talking. That I was a lawyer by education. That was something that's there with it. I love doing that, and I like to share my journey or whatever I've learned. But the second and most important thing is, that's your moment to connect with your audiences. And all of these colleges or any of these audiences where I go are my perfect TG. They are my target group, and it's another opportunity to tell them about Wakao and to remind them about Wakao before they forget. So you need to use these opportunities, and you need to leverage all of these things that come your way and be open to it. And another very important thing as a founder is, if I have to do all of these things, my business has to also work well. So that's when you build in systems which remain in place. If you have a very strong foundation and strong fundamentals in your business, you can leverage other parts of the business and other parts which are there.
If you like what you're listening, you love the insight that Sairaj is giving, don't forget to subscribe, follow Hey Entrepreneur How To. Sairaj, great nuggets of information. We spoke about Shark Tank right now. But what you've done, you've been given an opportunity. You've been given an opportunity to showcase your product to the world. And I think what you've done is like what a lot of people have opportunities. A lot of people have funding. A lot of people have great ideas. A lot of people have great backing. But you were given an opportunity to showcase your product to the world. And you not only just showcased it, you showcased it in style. Your pitch was voted the best pitch of the year, right? Best pitch of the season, right? That's...
So we were one of the top 10 pitches.
One of the top 10 pitches for Shark Tank Season 1. And 3 sharks backed you on your idea, which is very commendable. So you took an opportunity, you delivered value, you impressed, got the attention of the sharks. So tell us, if you were to do it again, how to, for the interest of our audience, how to structure a great pitch?
One thing you need to remember is, like, a lot of people ask me, like you mentioned, how are you so confident on the show? Like normal people, even I have butterflies in my stomach before I go. Although I'm one of the more confident people, I think, because in life I've had many opportunities like this and I've understood how it's done. But for me, it's very simple. When you get an opportunity like this, this don't come again and again. You need to nail it, because that's your best chance to showcase what you're doing to the world. Whenever you get a chance to pitch, you need to be very clear about certain things. First and foremost, you need to know your purpose. What is the problem you're solving? And you need to have great clarity about it. An investor, when he invests his hard-earned money, only looks at 2 things. One is whether you have a great idea, and the second is whether you have a kick-ass founder. These 2 things are very important. And that founder has to, and you need to feel that fire in the belly when you're pitching. So that's very important. Your passion for what you're building has to come out in that pitch. Second thing is, you need to be very clear with your numbers. You need to know what you're building, what are your numbers, what are your projected numbers, and how much are you going to get. Don't try to bullshit, because those investors sitting in front of you are seasoned people. They can see through you. They'll gauge it at just with a whiff. If you're trying to sell them some nonsense, they'll get it, and that will be the end of it for you. So you need to be very honest in what you're trying to bring across the table. If you don't know something, for a question asked, own that. Say, I don't know this, I'll get back to you. I'll check and I'll get back to you. Don't try and give them any rubbish. So that's one very important fundamental. Know your stuff well, know your business well, know your numbers well. Second part. And the third is just be honest. Investors like likable people. You need to be honest of what you're building. You need to give honest numbers, honest figures, and you need to be very clear with what are the timelines and where you want to take this. So for an investor, most of the investors, It is very simple. They are putting in X amount of money. Within a particular period of time, they want to come out with 10x or 100x or whatever x. You need to only tell them how you're going to get from here to there. If you can convince them with that, then I think that is a good elevator pitch. You won't get too much time. You get 3 to 5 minutes and you need to make an impression in that. So you need to just focus on these 2-3 things. Be very confident, get your numbers right, and tell them how you're going to make it happen.
You did it in 30 seconds.
Not really. Right? So, it was a 3-minute pitch. And after that, on Shark Tank, I was in the tank for close to 45 minutes. On TV, we had around 18 minutes of screen time, but I was in the tank for 45 minutes. Yeah, it was quite a bit of grilling and question answer, but it was fun. It was good fun.
Hey, entrepreneurs, confidence is the name of the game, and especially in today's day and age where brands are driven by persona and the confidence of the founder or the co-founder. Sairaj's lessons on how to build confidence, I think it's absolutely important that all of us build confidence. That's the name of the game. While everyone knows Sairaj as the name of Wakao, there's a team that's running the show, right? Because for you to scale at such level, how to build a team, with you being the alpha to conquer the world at such a fast pace.
So I'm very clear about this, Floyd, is you can't build anything by yourself. If today I can sit here and I'm talking to you, is because there's a very, very efficient and a hard-working team which is getting things done at the back end. And like I said before, my job is growth. I don't involve myself too much into operations because if I get into operations, growth is going to suffer. So my job is growth. I'm always traveling, most of the time traveling. So things are being handled by a very efficient team. So for me, the first and the foremost thing while hiring someone or getting someone on board is the personality and the attitude of the person. Very important. I think attitude eats skills for breakfast, I have to put it that way, because skills can be learned. Attitude is very difficult for someone to change his DNA and the way he's structured. Firstly, someone who comes to Wakao has to feel Wakao is his own. Because everyone who works at Wakao, when he is the part of the founding team, is a part of the team, it is their baby. See, Wakao is not mine. I always say this. Sairaj doesn't own Wakao. Sairaj is a custodian of Wakao. Wakao has to become everyone's brand. And that's when it's called a loved brand. When people love it and feel like it's one of their own. And that happens with Goans today. Goans have that feeling, they feel this is our brand when they talk to someone. So anyone who comes, who we hire, first thing is that you need to have a great attitude in the sense that I hire only entrepreneurs. So there is this, there is this whole misconception that only founders are entrepreneurs, which is not true. All founders are entrepreneurs, but all entrepreneurs need not be founders. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. There is a simple mindset change. You can have a mindset of a manager and you can have a mindset of an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur will never have any boundaries, will have no 9 to 5. For an entrepreneur, there are no set deadlines. The sky is the limit. So when you hire an entrepreneur, you are hiring someone who sees unlimited growth, whose vision is to take this to another level. His vision is not, he or her vision is not limited to the number of hours that he or she needs to work or the targets that they need to hit. So therefore, the first thing that we do is we hire people with the mindset of an entrepreneur. That is number one. The other thing that I always like to see is, these hustlers who, and I always say this, I say, don't work hard, work smart. I don't mind if someone comes 1 hour late to office. But when there's something to be done or when there's some incomplete task, that person out of his own free will should sit for 2 hours after office. If that is the attitude of the person, I have no problem with what time he comes, what time he goes, what he does, as long as they are committed to what they're doing and they have their skin in the game. That's the first thing. So when you hire people, you need to see whether they sync with your fundamentals and your principles. So we are building Wakao today with certain principles attached to it. We are a very fun-loving team. We are a young team, but we are a very focused team. We want to add value to the lives of our consumers. We are creating products which are completely different. We are running a revolution in the country. And each one has to understand the magnitude of it. And when they're dealing with customers, when they're dealing with people, they are custodians of the brand. So they have to work that way. So in everything that we do, we have people who own up to their responsibility. And that is how we like to hire. As however important skill sets are, yes, that is something we really look for also. But it has to be a good balance of great skills, but great attitude. That's very important when we're hiring people.
I think in today's podcast, you've nicely covered all aspects of business. So if you see in the start, you spoke about brand. Then you spoke about operations. Now you spoke about HR. So I think great insight for any entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneurs, employees, who want to be entrepreneurs within the organization. I think what you've done in the last 30 or 40 minutes is you've given great insight into all aspects of business. So if you like what you're hearing, please don't forget to follow and subscribe. My last question to you, Sairaj. How do you take Goa to the world? Goa is known for its cashew nuts. Goa is known for its feni. Goa is known for its bibinka. And now Goa is getting known for its jackfruit. Right? How to take Goa to the world? What is your big plan to take Goa to the world?
See, my plan is very simple. My plan is to take this brand to the world. So I'm going to take Wakao to every country of the world. I'm a very staunch Goan. I am a very, very proud Indian, but my DNA is, so we are like this, very proud Goans who wants to take this name. So whenever I go, the one thing that I keep saying everywhere is, I say, they ask me, you're a Goan? I said, I'm an unadulterated Goan. Like I'm a proper Goan, So it has always been my dream to make every Goan proud and every Goan feel that Wakao is our brand. Goa should be known by Wakao. Wakao should be known by Goa. My only humble request to every young Goan watching this. We are and I say this at every platform that I go, okay? It may be repetitive. We sometimes tend to be too comfortable in our comfort zones. When you're comfortable, it's the worst thing sometimes. So we are very happy like the small fishes in an aquarium playing with each other in our own space without having access to the outer world. But the minute you're taken out of that aquarium and put into the ocean, you are then swimming with the sharks, You're swimming with a plethora of opportunities, which are tough, it's crowded, it's competitive, but you crack that, then you taste blood. And I'm telling you that will happen. And so for every Goan watching this, you need to realize that Goa is not your only market. Goa is your start market. Goa is a market that needs to be your test market. It is where your people see what you've done, give you feedback and tell you how to improve. And then you take that and go to the world. And that's exactly what we did. And I think every Goan should aspire, if I can inspire even 5 Goans to create a brand and take it to the world, I think my task is done. It's not some rocket science. People sometimes think this is something very Herculean, something that we can never do. But let me tell you one thing. If I can do it, if Team Wakao can do it, any of you guys can also do it. It's not something very, very difficult. It's just you need to have focus. You need to find the right path. You need to find the right product. I come back to that. You need to find the right product. You need to find the right purpose. And then things fall in place. And with today's day and age, there's so much access to everything. There's so much access to different parts of the world. I sell to 5 countries today. Okay. All of those 5 have been inbound inquiries that have come to us. Most of them through LinkedIn, some through our website. Yeah, so I have not gone out and even asked for business for exports, quite honestly, for this. Now we are going very aggressively, but this was during very early days. Now, my point here is, if you have a good product, you will get people coming and asking for you. So don't be under the misconception that we can all do it. And I'm sitting here, my base is Goa, and I'm telling you, I'm in this lifetime of mine, I'm going nowhere from Goa. Wakao Foods is always going to be headquartered in Panji, Goa. And we'll do business all across the world. If need be, tomorrow we might have satellite offices elsewhere. But we are always going to be here. So for any young Goan entrepreneur who really is passionate about something, wants to do something, I'm happy to help. And there'll be so many like me who've done this. You have help all across. You have people who are there to assist you. You just need to have that shift in mindset. You need to broaden your horizon and look at the world as your playground.
Really, really inspiring talking to you, Sairaj. You've definitely inspired more than 5 people out here today. Okay. Previously, we inspired countless number of people, me being one of them. And I would like to thank you, especially for coming onto the podcast, telling us how you build your business, telling us, unfiltered your secret sauce to success. And that's why we've created the podcast, Hey Entrepreneur, how to dig deep into the minds of successful entrepreneurs. And more importantly, entrepreneurs that are taking their products to the world. Today, I would like to thank Sairaj for being on the show and inspiring all of us, motivating every aspiring entrepreneur out there. And stay tuned. If you like what you've heard, please don't forget to show some love, subscribe, share. Hey Entrepreneur, how to. My name is Floyd Tavares, co-founder of Dranding Consulting, a brand consulting firm based out of Goa, and we transform businesses to brands. And it's an absolute pleasure talking to Sairaj Dhond.
Thank you.